To begin, we have to go back to Napoleon. It's always Napoleon.
Tribes like the Blemye. You may have heard of them before because the Romans believed that these were a people who didn't have heads. The Romans had a good trading relationship with the Blemye.
1672 is referred to as the Rampia, which directly translates to a year which in retrospect can safely be described as being pants. Since Prussia, with the help of Italy, would go on to win. But France would join the war on the side of Austria, which would make things much more difficult for them. The question of loyalty came up and Ivan's son was like, what are you going to do, beat me to death with a scepter? Turns out, yes, simply dyeing red cloth blue, but the results were mixed.
John, the leader of the Tigray here, win and he became Negus.
And thus began the most boring race in human history. The first annual legislative sprint to get a majority in parliament to name your country, Malaysia. Spoiler alert, Malaysia won. LBJ wasn't fighting in Vietnam and Queen Elizabeth wasn't engaged in the Falkland. I say that the USSR didn't have the strongest response because of Mexico. Did medieval knights really go questing? So the answer, for the most part, is no. Sorry. And the second reason is that Britain promised to aid Australia in the creation of civilian nuclear power in return. Franco's main worry after the war was France, who disliked him for 3 reasons. First, he existed and openly coveted French lands in Africa. As such, Rahman came up with a brilliant idea. Let's just kick Singapore out. Venetians, Florentines, Neapolitans, and of course, Romans. But what about cowboys then? Do they match up to the common image that we have of them? Nope. The first French Republic, the one with all the guillotining, aka the fun one, as an example will do 13 times 13 in Roman numerals. 2 columns, one of the numbers being multiplied in each, add a new line, halve the number in the left column and double the number in the right. You keep going until the halved number gets to 1, then cross out any rows where the number in the left column is even. Add the right column together and there's your answer, hence why we got rid of them. Instead, they got Leopold I, a German-speaking Protestant who quickly expanded the power of the monarchy, but you know, 0 out of 3 isn't bad. When the Ottoman Empire and Persia ran into problems, both states began to decline. So the British kept taking more and more and more and more of it. Workers of the world, embrace monarchy. Or not. This one can be traced back to a man in a funny hat, run by the fez-wearing Italian man, Richard the Lionheart, Raymond of Toulouse, or Frederick Barbarossa. It remained a part of Austria and later Austria-Hungary until the First World War.
Which France and Napoleon III would ride a high forevermore, and absolutely nothing or no one whatsoever could ruin it. Largely out of respect and to prevent embarrassment, but overseas it was common knowledge. Albert, who became King George VI. Edward was made the Duke of Windsor.
It was superseded by the Third Reich. Now obviously it was the new government that brought an end to the Weimar Republic, but why was Mr. Mustache voted into office and what conditions led to so many Germans giving up on it and seeking an alternative? Among the 100,000 officers recruited were former Prime Minister Robert Peel and some guy called Louis Napoleon Bonaparte, who would later go on to find gainful employment in France. I hope you enjoyed this episode and thank you for watching, with thanks to my Patreon supporters whom you can see on screen now, and with an extra special thanks to James Bizanet and Mo. It's all fun and games until Coke gets an aircraft carrier.